Hello everyone, and welcome to Chapter 11 of my Call of the Armor 0% Growths Low Turn Count playthrough. Call of the Armor, in an LTC context, has a bit too much of a breakneck pace for it to really have those long, winding seas maps that you might be familiar with in the vanilla GBA games, but I would say out of all the chapters in my run, Chapter 11 comes the closest to that description. In addition, Chapter 11 is the first chapter in the game where I actually lose turns, well, one turn compared to a growths run. But despite that, I actually am quite fond of this clear, and I hope you will be too. In fact, this chapter is the chapter I decide to promote Lily to Falcon Knight. It's not because of this map specifically that I chose her to promote to Falcon Knight. Most people consider Wyvern Knight to be better, but Falcon Knight has a specific utility that you will see later. In fact, I actually didn't need to promote Lily at all. At least I don't think I did, but I chose to. Like, look at her stats. 10 strength, 16 speed. She is a really good combat unit, one of the best in my army, as well as one of the most mobile combat units. And she just provides a lot of extra flexibility to this clear that I really appreciate. I guess I would have appreciated the 5,000 gold, but I probably would have needed to buy a seal for her anyway. I do need to sell even more of my possessions for this map, as hard as that is to believe. I'm visiting yet another shop right after I visited the last one. But thankfully, this selling spree was very, very short, so you can get a nice, good look at the map now, and you see that we have a split army once again. And unlike the other split army maps, in this one, Kuija's army actually starts closer to the throne than the opposite army, so the opposite army is just going to be committed to getting side objectives. But one of the main side objectives I pursue in every map, which is staff grinding Mac. At least it appears like I pursue that every single map. I can't do that here. At least it looks like I can't, because Vivek started on the right side, and he has the men staff. I didn't even have the courtesy to give Mac a freaking heal staff. But I can visit this vendor. And, in a neat little trick Toffee discovered, I can convoy warp this men staff. Just a nice little way to get mend on both sides of the army split, which is nice because I need plenty of healing here. I even use a couple vulneraries because just the mends aren't enough for what I'm pursuing here. And what I'm pursuing is villages. There are 4 villages in this map, and in a 4-turn I can visit 3 of them. That said, they do take a fair amount of effort to get for what is usually money. But you know me in this run, and I love money. I can't get enough of selling things. So, like, almost the entire right side army is just going to get that right village, and Kim is heading off all on her own to get the village in the middle of the map. And the left side village you're going to see is why I employ a couple of the tricky tactics that make this clear so special. The left side village does have the best reward, at least in my opinion. The sleep bow, which is a unique weapon, 2 to 3 range, inflicts sleep when it hits. Pretty nice. I'm probably only going to use it a couple of times, but it also sells for a lot of money, And because I can't use stone quite yet, it's also very nice for situations where I would use that. Turn 1 enemy phase is mostly notable for Itoro's chance of death, and the fact that it's 0. I killed that archer turn 1 with a Lance Reaver, which might have looked weird to you considering that was 68 hit. That's like pretty inaccurate. I probably could have used something more accurate, but with the extra defense that the Lance Reaver gives against that soldier there, the soldier and the shaman do not combine for a kill, so I don't need to rig a dodge or anything. In fact, I'm back on my anti-dodge rigging business because, you know, I need to get mend, and so Luan is going to walk up to a couple soldiers and ask to get hit very nicely. Itoro actually doesn't want to get hit. This guy's got 5 defense, look at him. But he needs to get hit because he's the one that's going to finally pursue that left side village, kind of break away from these foot units that can't reach it in time. And, you know, Philip and Shale, they're kind of doing what they do best, and that's cleaning up enemies so that chance of death isn't astronomical, it's just like moderate. Ansha got hit by a couple of soldiers, and so after this mend, she's pretty much done for the playthrough. Her combat stats are like weirdly bad, like 12 speed, compared to Uyama's 16. Like, poor Ansha, I wanted to use her more than I did. But Kim here takes kind of a conservative spot, just sits right on that forest and eats a vulnerary so that she has like 0 chance of death this upcoming enemy phase. In fact, no one has a chance of death this enemy phase. I do end up rigging a little here, but that's to manipulate these green units. We're finally getting into that section of the map, so I might as well explain my plan here. To get the sleep bow, I need to turn the thief blue, which there are 2 units in that pile of green units that you can turn blue. By talking to one, you turn both blue. The skeleton archer or the thief, and because the skeleton archer moves, that's who I'm going to be talking to. And the rig there was to get the skeleton archer as close to Kouija as possible. There is a nice side effect of that turn 3, but turn 3 is going to be a very busy turn, so I might not have time to explain that. But here, what I'm rigging in the other phase is for this skeleton right here to miss with his wind sword so that Gu will see a kill to kill that soldier who is right next to Kouija. Kouija talks to Gu and then takes his dead wife's ring, which is a little rude, but in my defense it's a pretty good item. And here we initiate a skill sys exclusive little bug called a take support give. This bug is pretty standard to ROM hack LTCs, and how it works is in normal GBA games, support viewing a support conversation consumes your turn, but in a quality of life change, skill sys makes it so that you can act after you support, but because of an oversight, you can take, and then if you activate a support, you can give. The give command is usually very hard to reach, especially in the span of one turn, but it allows me to do really amazing things, like have Kouija move like 15 tiles while still remaining actionable on turn 4. And you see, I dropped her in a very particular spot. I noticed this spot pretty early in my run, and what it does is it makes her chance of death 0, which once enemy phase rolls around, I'll explain why that's a little surprising. But first I need to put Kim in this spot here so that the Horse Slayer guy doesn't reach her, and she can hit the village turn 4 as we seize. But that soldier right there, that's kind of near Kuija, has a heavy spear and would one-shot her because her stats are awful. But because of the spot that I put her in, the heavy spear soldier can't target her. The soldier moves before the shaman. The shaman's blocking one spot, and Sunwing's blocking the other, so the soldier can only go for Sunwing or Lily. And because Lily's a Falconite, she can equip swords, and I made her equip a sword so that the soldier would go after her. The reason why that's important is because if the soldier went after Sunwing, Sunwing would have a chance of death. Which would be annoying to rig out, because Itoro has a chance of death. Itoro faces 3 60% and needs to dodge one of them, but because that green unit moved into ballista range, Lily has no chance of death, and despite facing a ballista shot and a shaman, after that pure water, Sunwing has no chance of death. Which is nice. I optimized a lot for reliability this enemy phase, and then I put Alea in death range for like no reason. Like, she's already chapter 12, she's already level 10, but she just had like a 53% chance to die there. But she dodged, so it doesn't matter. Luan gets hit one final time, so I can get one last mend in there. Here I'm just closing out the final loose ends of this chapter, getting the last mends in, and visiting the last villages. We have a barrier staff, which is money. We have a red gem, which is money. I really love money. Can't get enough of it. And we had to move Lily this far north so that we could get rid of this asshole shaman. And even though Sunwing does not have the wife ring, they still are able to rapier crit the boss. And that's going to be chapter 11, completed in 4 turns. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you for Interlude 2.